Welcome, 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 everyone, to another episode of Shine with Dorothy-Inez, where we talk about all things beauty, all things business, and all things spirituality to inspire you to show up and shine as your most powerful self. Today, we are talking with an amazing guest. I'm super excited to have her on. We are speaking with breakthrough life coach, Miss Pamela Shaw. She is going to be with us today. You don't want to miss this episode that we're going to be talking about how you can get to your next level by learning to listen to the whispers of God. So stay tuned. I'm back. So are you ready? Let me know. Are you ready? Comment. Let me know who's here, who's tuning in. We are so excited to have you join us. For those of you that don't know me personally, I am Dorothy-Inez, and I'm a confidence coach that helps women in direct sales live out their divine call and purpose by creating a personal brand that empowers them to confidently show up and shine online and in person. So like I mentioned earlier, I am so excited about our guest today because her story is going to inspire you. Her strategies are going to empower you to be the woman you were meant to be. So let me tell you about my amazing guest, Miss Pamela Shaw. Pamela Shaw is an independent inner circle executive, national sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. She is a leader of leaders. Yes, a leader of leaders with over 4,000 women in her immediate organization. She trains, coaches, mentors countless women on fundamental business, people, and leadership skills, both inside and outside of the company. For the past 34 years, she has driven the infamous pink Cadillac. You know, those pink Cadillacs. And she is recognized as a $9 million earner. She is ranked number 8 nationally out of 3.5 million beauty consultants. Her passion, though, is helping others to live out and find their true purpose, design their lives, and live their vision. She has created and published the 90-Day Planner, authored the Breakthrough Goal Setting Workbook, and a guided prayer journal that represents the core of her expertise. This woman right here, I'm super excited to share with you. Please welcome the beautiful Miss Pamela Shaw.
Dorothy-Inez. Oh my goodness. Thank you for such a generous introduction. You are extraordinary. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today.
I'm so excited to have you. You know, I want to share just how you and I met through the whisper, you know.
Yes.
Because, you know, I just want to share that because that is reaching out to you. I just want to share, and I think I did tell you, came from a whisper when I was standing in the shower and I was asking God, you know, I need one more guest for February. Who should it be? And he said, Pamela Shaw. And I was like, no way, God, there's no way she'd be on my show. It's brand new, God. Pamela Shaw. And, you know, I remember when I ordered your 90-day planner, the fact that you responded personally to me Wow.
I have no idea how or why, other than a divine and God wink connection, because that is, I don't do that. First of all, I'm never in that email, right? I'm never paying attention. So it was definitely an intentional supernatural connection, which I love
Yes,
that.
yes. And it was just that. And then you said, Dorothy-Inez, I only wrote one note to,
Yeah.
when those books, when
Yeah.
they're all of all the orders, it was Dorothy-Inez's name that stood out to you.
It
And
did.
the fact, I remember when you wrote me back, I took, I had the courage to write that email asking you to be on the show. And you wrote me back. And I remember writing you back, and I was like, Pamela, I was laying in my bed with one eye open, reading your email, and tears were just running down my face.
Oh, that's great.
And the reason I share that is because today I know Miss Pamela and I want to share with you, to learn, to listen to the whisper, to
Right.
listen to that still small voice inside, because you never know where it's going to lead you. And what I'm learning is that it leads me to my destiny. It leads me to that very thing that God calls me to. So I know we're going to talk about that. And we've got so much to talk about today. So
I know.
are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. I'm with you, sister.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
honored.
Yes. So, Miss Pamela, tell us briefly how you went from being a teacher to multi-millionaires with your direct sales company. Tell us about that journey.
Right. Well, there's a 35-year answer to that, and then there's a short version. Dorothy-Inez, I think back about that time and the fragility of who I was at that time. I was living out of integrity in so many pockets of my life, not yet having admitted that I was out of integrity. I had kind of drifted. I don't know if you have read or recently read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, but there are two people in life. There's the drifter, and then there's the person who has definiteness of purpose. And so today I would say that I have definiteness of purpose. You live definiteness of purpose. But if you take 100 people, 98 out of 100 are drifters. So at that time I was a drifter, and I genuinely loved what I was doing. But because of all the places where I was not living in integrity, I was in debt more than I earned in a year. I was restless and uncertain. And it was the first time in my life that I had been any of those things. And it took a minute to realize that they didn't happen to me. They were all at my own hand. And, enter serendipitously the Mary Kay opportunity. I didn't seek it out. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't want to do something different. I wanted to teach. I came from a family of educators. I wanted to teach high school English and dance, really what I wanted to do. But God brought with that opportunity a mentor and a woman who I knew I could learn from. And so I accidentally said yes to go to an event. I hesitantly said yes to order my what was called starter kit at that time. Paid $89.25. Had $125 in my bank account until I would get paid 15 days later. So, everything about it was like so temporary. Every little was temporary. It was not a long-term decision. And then as I started to learn more about the culture of the company, I recognized that the company represented what I had been in my younger life, what I valued. And so there just came a greater committed emergence in moving. And it was not all, one big swoop, a lot of bumps and roads along the way. But within 6 months, I did make a decision to leave my teaching position because I saw so much possibility. And I was willing to change. I was willing to grow. And so April will be 35 years that I have invested within that company. And of course, along the road, along the pathway, so many other opportunities have opened up that are also a passion of mine. Ministry, for example.
Right.
And so that's the short version. I did not start a side hustle to be a millionaire. I did not start a side hustle to earn $1 million. I started a side hustle to make a little extra money to be able to come home from Florida to Kentucky for Christmas and buy my family Christmas presents without borrowing money from my mother. That's the biggest vision I had. And so the beautiful thing about vision is that you acknowledge how far you can see. And then when you drive a little further, you can see further. And so over the course of 35 years, I started to see further faster because I invested in growing me and in becoming a woman of intention again and having a definiteness of purpose in my life, my spiritual life, my financial life, my relationships.
Yeah, you really took a holistic approach. We've got a little bit of echo, Pam. Can you mute for me? Mute. So we'll have to go back and forth with the muting. There we go. Thank you. So I love that you took a holistic approach to your personal development over the last 35 years, and really that integration of God. That's what I love about Mary Kay, is that it allows you to put God first, the things that you value most importantly. And so along the way, you mentioned that you had some challenges. And I know that one of those challenges was losing your husband and your son going through some challenges. And a lot of women listening can tend to get derailed by challenges, the emotions, staying motivated, their mindset. What were some of the things, Miss Pamela, that you did to keep yourself focused that these women can really pull from you today?
So how's that sound?
Yep.
Is that better?
It's just when I talk, it comes through on your side. So as you talk, you're good.
So I turned it down a little bit thinking that might help. That's an excellent question. And I certainly appreciate where you're coming from. I think the observation that I make is one that you're asking your question based on. I discovered that when people in general, women especially, hit an unexpected curve, they stop everything else and focus just on that curve. And there could not be a worse approach to problem solving and growing. No obstacle comes to us without God's willingness, at least without his acceptance. Sometimes he sends the storm. And so we have to view through our lives through a filter that says that God is with us. No matter what, God is with me, no matter what. I might not prefer this. This might not be the circumstance I want. Why would this happen? It all becomes irrelevant in the scheme of an eternity. It's irrelevant. So a lot of those things happen separately. If I go further back, I miscarried at late term a beautiful baby girl. That was the first, not the first difficulty, but it was the first really epic loss. And and it happened 3 days after our national convention and after I had been, awarded and appreciated and recognized. And so 3 days later, I lost that baby. And then 3 days after that, a really good friend to complications from elective surgery. And then fast forward to 2005, I did lose the love of my life. He was 40 to Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And then, my son at that time was 10. So by the time he was 13, there were signs of addiction, but, I just kept thinking it's age, and I would interfere and intervene and pray for God's guidance and for a man in his life to mentor and guide. And that addiction continued. It was a roller coaster of addiction. Thomas now has 2 years sobriety. And so, yeah, we celebrate that for sure. But all of those things, it's really been a roller coaster of those things. My miscarriage was in 1997, and then Jerry passed in 2005. So there are little windows of time where not everything was crumbling at once. How do you navigate them? You can only, you cannot say, why me? It would be so self-centered of me to say, why me? I mean, Dorothy-Inez, why not me? How could I, in the scheme of the world where people don't have running water, how could I say, why me? It would be so arrogant to consider that I should be exempt from difficulties of life. And so what I've learned through the years, even though I knew it then, I came to the faith as a young child, 9 years old, took a little hiatus away from my faith in my young 20s. But for the most part, my faith has been the solid rock that I stand on, no matter what, the good times, the bad times, and the times that just don't make sense. ALS is a hideous disease, and it is a cruel death. And addiction can train wreck everyone's lives. And so I just keep my focus on the moment. I think there are things that people wrestle with.
Right.
One is regret. I do not want to have regrets at any season of my life that I didn't fully live present to the moment, giving the best that I could, honoring God the highest that I can, and at the same time acknowledging raw emotions of pain and grief and inadequacy and uncertainty and sadness. Those emotions, those emotions come with that kind of loss. I was never just like Pollyanna, it's all going to get better. I was never that. But I was always very honest with each thing that came at me, and I would dig in deeper. For example, after Jerry died, a wise pastor pointed me to the book of Psalms and said, just read one Psalms a day. And so I went and dug into the book of Psalms, and I did a study without a study guide on just David and the roller coaster of his emotions from praise
and down.
Yeah, he's my man, right? David is my man. It's like he was up, he was down, he was like charging ahead. He was like, Lord, why? Go kill them all.
All right.
Yeah. So I got more connected to the people of the Bible that God called as favorites. How did they navigate life? I didn't have the option of just going to bed and sucking my thumb. Although there were many days that I just felt like finding the dark closet, rocking in it for the whole day to some music. Never. How could I? I'm now a single parent. I'm now a sole breadwinner. What are the options? So I think people have to look really carefully at even if both your options are hard, there's a best over a good one. A best over a good one. And so I started building my life around, okay, what's my best yes? What is my best
better than just the good yes?
Yeah. Because they could be miles apart. A good yes is easy because good and bad are easy to figure out from each other. This is good, this is bad. But this is good, this is best. Best requires that 2% more from you that you're not sure you have to give and that you're not sure you're willing to give. But it will serve you every single time. So I made my best yes in the present moment, not years at a time. Do not worry about tomorrow because today has enough trouble of its own. I've lived that. Today has enough trouble of its own.
Oh yeah.
So just in the moment.
And one thing I've learned, hit the mute for me. That's okay. Sorry about that. So one thing I've learned, Miss Pamela, is that life is always happening for me. And that's to me, that real faith approach that you're talking about. Because when you have that strong faith, that God is walking with you and that everything is in divine order. And that when, like you say, what's perceived as bad, good things can come from it if we choose, because everything is working together for the good, right, of those that love the Lord. And that's the beauty of having that strong foundation, that grounding in God, because, even if this, like I always use the example of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Yes, that was a tragic situation that she lost I believe it was her son, but something good came of it that's helping many afterwards. And and what you've gone through in your life and how you share this story of overcoming, how it blesses and gives hope and inspiration to other women and men who get to hear it. So remember that life is always happening for us. It's just, to me, a more powerful place to come from than that space of victimhood, because God doesn't create victims. God creates victors, right? So let's get into this thing that we talked about earlier, the whisper from God. So, what is the whisper, and how do we know if the whisper is ego or if the whisper is truly our highest self, that God self, that Holy Spirit within?
I love it. Life is working for me. I love that. And how do we know about the whisper? Well, I believe that the ultimate whisper is the Holy Spirit at work in our lives on a daily basis. And God promised us that He would never leave us or forsake us. And so that means with every breath, with every moment, with every thought, I have an option. And I can either let it be in my own flesh, my own self, or I can acknowledge what the Lord is sending me. What's the difference? When I am aligned to His word and His truth, then I can trust the ideas and the thoughts that come to my heart and mind. When I am not aligned with Him, when I do not have a personal relationship with Him, I am at risk of ego deciding the direction. And that's a very lonely place to be. So, reeling it back, how do I know that that my whispers are from the Lord? Because of the relationship that I have with Him and the time that I devote to advancing that relationship. You can't have a relationship with someone that you don't invest time with, that you don't talk to, that you don't learn from, that you don't listen to. And when the one true God says, I have made a way, you want to find out what that way is, right? So the whisper is, it happens when we have a choice between fast food for lunch or something super healthy for lunch. The whisper happens when we walk by someone that obviously is in need. We either notice and we attend to that person, or we don't. The whisper happens when we're in the throes of working our business or our side hustle, and the whisper says, call or text ABCD. No, no, Lord, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, let me hear what else I got. So we have this filter of what we are unwilling to do. And so when you get in the habit of noticing the whisper, what you'll notice is the whisper will tell you, the whisper will reinforce it to you, the whisper will bring out signs from all around you, and the whisper will repeat itself. Now, does the whisper go forever? No. It does not. I mean, there is a window time in many places in the Bible where it says, there is a point where I will not keep telling you that. And that window will close, a door will close, another window will open down the road. You get another chance to listen to the whisper. So it's guidance, it's creativity, it's obedience, it is discipline, it is direction. It's just that we oftentimes don't listen to the whisper. One of the first times I remember hearing the whisper was when I was going back into the classroom, what ended up being my final year, but the beginning of my 5th year. And I had been so disconnected from school because I had been very involved in my side business all summer long. Positive people, positive environment, recognition, celebration, encouragement. When I walked back into the school, I don't know if you know this or not, and this is from experience, not a judgment. So sometimes you can get after people for saying things because they don't have any experience. But one thing you can't criticize is a person's experience. My experience in education was that many people go into education to make a positive difference. But after a few years, they become extremely negative because the institution itself beats them down. Now, let me quickly interject. My mother taught in the classroom for 34 years. She was passionate. She was engaged all 34 years. So for those of you listening who are teachers, don't hate. I'm really sharing from my experience. I was surrounded by a lot of people who were very unhappy with what they did. And they were doing the countdown, 15 years to retirement, 10 years to retirement. And I'm like, how could you wish years away? And so I walked back into the school that year, and I immediately had this overwhelming sense. The whisper was right beside me. I don't belong here. And so I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't even see anybody that I like. And I felt the Lord say, get out of here. And I said out loud, no, I can't. I left Kentucky to get here. What do you mean get out of here? I want to teach. I want to speak. I want to write. And I heard the whisper, not audibly, but in my spirit, you're going to teach, you're going to speak, you're going to write, but you're going to have to get out of here. I'm going to blow your mind. And I stayed. I disobeyed the whisper. What followed was the most difficult year of my life. And no time to go into the difficulties of that. But when you disobey the whisper, it's not that God takes you out. It gives you lots of opportunities to understand why he was saying leave in the first place. So he gave me a year of opportunities. And then, the next whisper that I really got was the 90-day planner. It was the Design Your Life, Live Your Vision, which was birthed from inadequacies, things that I needed to learn, to get, to do that are not in my strengths. And so, you either hire it out or you create it along the way. And so the next whisper I got was the planner, and I listened to that whisper.
Listening to you reminds me, I don't know if you've read the book Big Magic. And Big Magic, she talks essentially about what you're talking about here is when God whispers, and she doesn't call it God, but we know it's God whispers, and how if you don't act, it'll keep whispering and whispering. And if you don't act, the whisper goes to somebody else who's willing to step into, because it's God wanting to reveal himself through you. This idea, this creativity, whatever it is, wants to be revealed through you. But if you're not open and you're not willing, it's going to move on to the next person. And then another thought came up as you were talking about, recognizing the whisper. One thing I've learned is I learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer about ego, and he had an acronym, is edging God out. Because that's what we do when we try to do things in our own power, our own will, instead of inviting Spirit, the one who gave us the vision, the one who created us, in to help, execute. So it's really powerful. And as well, the when you said that the Spirit, is speaking to us in the whisper, it's also giving us an invitation to take courageous action, because so many don't listen because God's asking you to do something you've never done before, right? So good. So my other question, Pamela, is we have a lot of women who are watching here in direct sales, network marketing. And recently I asked them, how could I help? And they said, immediately, I got a lot of posts. I'm struggling with team building. You have been a leader of leaders. Like I said in your bio, over 4,000 women. How does a woman move past that fear so that she can begin to develop the courage to share what she's doing and enrich the lives of other women? How did you get to that place in leadership?
Well, I think you gave the best answer when you were talking about when we get the whisper. It requires tremendous courage. And so I want to park on the word courage for a minute, because courage is unfamiliar to most people. Most of us like our comfort zone. We like when we don't have to feel any kind of anxiety, good or bad. It can be both. Anxiety, restlessness, that accelerated heartbeat. Most of us prefer to stay in the cocoon of our comfort zone and then expect epic results. And it doesn't work that way. So the first thing I would like to say is line up your desire with the reality of what you can expect. You can't expect to grow and be rewarded with more if you remain the same. The only way you step into more is when you become more. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that team building, of which I can so remember years ago when I thought, how do you ever have 3 people on your team? How do you get 3 at the same time? There are 2 elements at play. One is when I think about me, I can't team build. When I think about her, I can invite and team build. If I believe in the company I'm representing, then I will learn how to communicate about that company in a way that she can then decide for herself, adult woman who has most likely birthed children, planned vacations, paid bills, been through loss and grief, managed a home. We're talking not babies here. We're talking women who have done other hard things. We can do hard things. So I can't team build when it's all about me. I want to get one. I want to get three. I want to get 10. I want to build a team. When it's about me, it won't happen. When it's about her, then we start a different conversation. I become a facilitator. If the opportunity is here and she's over here, I'm just the bridge to bring the two together. I'm just my voice in between. I become the bridge. Here's the opportunity. Here's the opportunity. Here's the woman. My voice lets the two meet. I'm the introducer. I make an introduction. I love when other people introduce me to people or situations or a book or an author or food or a supplement or a mindset, a habit that I know is going to be better for me because I'll get it in the whisper. I will already know what she's talking about is going to benefit me. Most people don't build a team because they don't ask other people. And when they get a no, they don't pursue that no. They don't follow with, if anything ever changes in your life, would you remember that we had this conversation and agree that you would come in with on my team? People don't follow through. There's another layer to that. In the meantime, who do you know who could benefit from this benefit, this benefit, this benefit of the company that I'm talking about? For every 10 names that you give me with cell phone numbers, I'm going to give you we don't draw on the resources. People like to support other people when they believe that they're serious about what they're talking about and the direction they're going. So I think you can build a team when you're committed. Why would God trust you with a team if you're only interested and not committed? Why should he be giving you a team of people if you're just going to test the water? So one is your level of commitment, and the other is your level of courage. And then the third is just your skills. It's a skill to communicate something new to someone else. So a friend of mine had a little incident yesterday and lost part of her vision in one eye, very scary situation. And, checked out all the things. And then she said, I couldn't tell you about it yesterday, but I'm going to tell you about it today. Well, I'm reading a book from a doctor that I follow on Instagram, and she breaks down, I'm kind of a hippie, Dorothy-Inez. I don't know if you know this or not. I'm a little bit of a hippie when it comes to nutrition and
I could tell when I followed you.
Supplements, that kind of thing. I was raised on chiropractic care. So I very much roll with a root cause, and I can cause it, I can heal it, right? So both things. So I shared this book with her that I have of this physician who breaks down some of the most toughest mental issues from anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar, and her solution. And she's a neurologist, by the way, MD, not got her massage therapy lesson last week. She's totally highly educated and breaks down the healing through nutrition. So because there's a great gut-brain connection, right? I mean, there just is. How can you take an Advil and it goes down and in 30 minutes your headache's gone? I mean, there is a gut-brain connection. So I told my friend, you're welcome to borrow this book. I don't know if you've ever heard of this woman. She goes, I followed her because you told me to follow her. So it comes back to a willingness to get the information to communicate a message. So whether I'm talking about nutrition or time management or goal setting or the benefits of my company, I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to talk about what I have authority in based on how I've studied and how I've applied. So I would say to people building their network marketing business or direct selling business, take a good look in the mirror. How committed are you? How courageous are you? How much time have you invested in your skills? And then how much time have you invested in communicating, not just water hosing somebody on why they should do it, but really, here's the opportunity. Here's your prospect. You're the voice in the middle. It's your words that helps the two marry, and then you benefit in the process.
I love that thought of being a bridge for people. That's just such a beautiful thought, a bridge, because that bridge might be the bridge to destiny. That bridge might be the bridge to paying off student loans or whatever they may need, paying off medical bills. You never know how you might be the answer to someone's prayer. And by holding back because of your own fear, that edging got out because you're worried, like you said, I. Every statement was all about you and not about the person that you're being invited to share this amazing opportunity. And I loved, Pamela, how you talked about skills. A lot of times women are guilty of not investing in their skills. They may go and get their hair done, their nails done, all this other stuff, but not investing in their skill set, not investing in the knowledge, because the more you get sold out on your company, it's your enthusiasm that sells people out on the idea, or at least allows them to consider the possibilities, because your energy is contagious. So really great stuff here. And the last question, and then the ladies, we're not gonna have Miss Pamela here after this, okay? So the last question is, if you could speak to the one woman watching who is sitting on her business right now, whether she's a coach, because I have coaches listening, I have direct sellers listening. She's sitting on her business right now because she's worried about what other people are going to think. She's got fear. She's worrying about judgment. What would you say to her right now?
Well, I think you have to consider the big picture of your life. A question that I asked myself often, Dorothy-Inez, on the journey was, would I regret this? Would I regret not doing this? Would I regret doing this? Would I regret not pushing this further? What would I regret the most? And I think the answer comes down to, I would regret not trying. I would regret not becoming my best. And so, ladies, really, it's not a matter of being perfect ever. It's never about being perfect. It's always about bringing excellence. It's always about being the best you. If you think about it this way, and this is how I started to think early on in my direct selling business. I choose my hairdresser. I choose my nail tech. I choose my pastor. I choose my chiropractor. I choose my family practice doctor. And they're all the best. I don't just go, I'm going to go find a family practice doctor. You're going to go to a person that either is highly recommended or someone else has told you great things about. That's true in your business as well. Why would someone want to come to you to do business? What excellence do you bring that sets you apart? I used to have a phrase that would say, when people would say, oh, I tried it years ago, it doesn't work for me. I'm like, but you haven't tried it with me. First of all, the product has advanced, and I'm the best beauty consultant in all of South Florida. And then I went to work on my skills so that I could be the best. I memorized product ingredients. I memorized how to communicate statistics about the company. I memorized how to share the marketing plan. I went to school on personality styles. I went to school on communication. I went to school on question asking instead of water hose telling. And so if you want to be the best version of you, you've got to look in the mirror and say, how can I level up? What do I need to do to level up? Is it my appearance? Is it a skill? Is it courage? Is it obedience? Is it getting in the whisper? What is that whisper? What is that repetitive voice, that message that you have heard over and over again that you keep suppressing and not taking action on? What I have found too, Dorothy-Inez, during pandemic is I am just as sensitive, or far more sensitive perhaps, to people during pandemic who feel alone, lonely, isolated, depressed, suicidal, bankrupt. There's a whole other pandemic that's been happening during this time that our mainstream media does not give attention to. I'm far more sensitive to what's going on there. And so you've got to ask yourself, have I fallen into a trap of any of those things during this unusual year? We're approaching the year mark. What did you fall into that was accidental? You just kind of slid into the habit of blank, or slid into the habit of blank. Here's the truth. Whatever goes in is going to come out, and whatever goes in finds a place to land. So whatever you consume, news, Netflix, information, food, beverage, it has a landing place. And so is it time to do a detox of TV? Is it time to do a detox of social media? Is it time to do a detox of alcohol or some other substance or sugar or other foods? Because whatever goes in has a landing place and it will come back out. So if you want to live in excellence, not perfection, you've got to listen to the whisper, because what God whispers to me is not what he's going to whisper to you. He uses us differently. He calls us to different disciplines, and he calls us to those disciplines for the purpose of the people that he's going to introduce us to. So I think the real thing is a hard look in the mirror, and it's okay to feel bad. If you look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I've, done this, or I did that, or what she just said, I did all those things. Okay. Shame has a place. And I'm going to be one of the few people to say this. Shame has a place. Doesn't have a place to stay. I do not need to live in shame, blame. Jesus died on the cross for me. He rose from the dead for my shame, my guilt, my sin, all those things. But shame has a place, because what it does is this. It quickens my heart. It convicts me. So get it in the whisper. When you feel the shame and when you feel the conviction, okay, stop. Admit it. This is what I've done. It's not in alignment with who I am. What I've done is not who I am. Who I am is different than what I've done. And so I have to ask myself, is what I've done and what I'm doing, is it in alignment with who I want to become? Because who you become pre-qualifies you for what you say you want. And so as you become, alongside of working on those goals and working on those skills and working on that courage, who you become opens up the next door, opens up the next door, opens up the next door. So today we're all at different starting points. We're all on a journey. We're all learning. We're all growing. We're all getting better. And because you're on here, it says, I want to hear something today. You being on this podcast says, I trust Dorothy-Inez with the direction of her guests. This is a voice I can trust. This is a message I align with. And I got on here today to hear what I need to hear. And so that alone pre-qualifies you for growth. So dump it all out there. Deal with it for a minute and then make a list. What's the one thing you can do today, that you will do today, that will advance your skill set, your courage, or something you've heard in the whisper? And when you do that, you've taken one step forward on your journey and you're ready for the next chapter as you do that day after day after day.
So good. So good. Now you all know why Miss Pamela had to be one of my guests, on the show. This is so good. Pamela, I listened to I listened to Get It in the Whisper again last night. I listened to Ignite again. I listened to Confidence 101. I mean, you all, down below this video is a link where you can find all things Pamela Waldrop Shaw. I have created a blog that has all the goodness where you can connect with her. There's a freebie she has in there. You can find her YouTube channel, which is so inspiring. Her Instagram, her Facebook, everything this beautiful gift of God does is just so inspiring. And so thank you, Miss Pamela, for choosing to show up and shine with me today and to be a light to all of the men and women who are tuning in. I thank you so much. And so I'm going to put you backstage for just a minute and close out. Thank you so much, everyone. Give Miss Pamela a thank you in the comments. All right. So I'm super excited about next week's guest. I am having, I have a lot of amazing women, but I have a few good men. And so next week, we are going to be talking with motivational life and business coach, Jason Rash. This guy's amazing. If any of you have heard of Grant Cardone, he reminds me of Grant Cardone. I love, love, love him. So I hope you'll tune in next week. And we're going to be going live a little bit later next week because I have a thing going on. So it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern next week if you can join me. Also, if you're a woman in direct sales or network marketing and you're ready to up level your visibility and your online presence, I want you to check out my website at Dorothy-Inez.com. Again, that's Dorothy-Inez.com. I also have a free gift there for you, helping you to show up and shine online with courage and confidence. I would love to support you in your journey. So until next time, keep shining, sisters, and God bless you. Have a great day, and thank you for staying a little extra time. We couldn't let Miss Pamela go and not, get all the juice from her, right? So have a good one, and see you next week.